And yes, this is one street over. We're back at it. Welcome, welcome, welcome. Now, we did not take time off last week, even though a lot of people did. We had the show on Thursday and Friday. I hope you were here with us. If not, remember, those shows are archived. Just a little note, social media, the way we have these, they used to leave them up indefinitely, and now those are archived only for about 30 days. So if you have a show you need to download it. And they do make it available where you can download it. And just kind of keep that in mind because they have kind of changed the way that they're keeping those available to us on social media. So if you have a show particular that you want to hang on to, just download it from Facebook. You can hit my LaVern Vivio page, or you can go to the WSGI page, and you can get those there as well. But that's a little bit of a change, but you can catch those shows from last week. We were working, even though the school was out, but today we are back in school. So that means, but we're on a delay. As a teacher, I'll just kind of fill you in. We got a 2-hour delay, so keep that in mind. So there'll be an adjusted schedule as the kids get in there. And I got to tell you guys, get your kids to school. I know, some of you may still have flooded roads, but I think most things are passable from what they're saying. And so we need your kids in school because we're coming up on the end of course testing and all kinds of TCAT and all that kind of stuff, testing for the elementary. And the teachers can't get them ready for those tests if they're not in school. So please, please, please. I know right here at the end of school, they're getting excited and anxious. We had our prom this weekend for Greenbrier High School. I was putting out, please pray for these kids. We were nervous as cats having all those kids out on those roads, but it looks like everybody did well. And so praise the Lord on that. But just, again, get your kids to school today, guys. Get them on up. They get a little bit of a delay today, so that is good. But just let's get them on into school so we can get ready for the end of the school year. Oh my gosh, it is coming up so quick. But and other things that are coming up so quick. My friend Jessica Schoby is here with Jack and Jessica Schoby. Jessica's been reaching out to me for a while about your autism event that's coming up. Your autism awareness is the annual Rev Up for Autism event that you guys have, and you guys were in last year. Now, you were not the one that came in, were you? You had some
Carrie Dozier come in last year.
That's what I was thinking. And but this is an event that you guys have. How many years have you had this? Because it's an annual event. What's third? I'm seeing on your. I'm reading upside down there, all the details there. But I'll tell you what. Let me just go ahead and let you tell them.
Okay.
What are the specifics of when this is happening? It's always a wonderful time. But tell them a little bit about it for me.
Okay, it's our third annual Rev Up for Autism. It will be held on April the 12th from 9 a.m. to 3 p.m. on the square in Adairville, Kentucky. We'll have vendors, craft vendors. We'll have food vendors. So just go ahead and mark your calendars and make plans to come and join us that day. We'll have a car show. We also do face painting. We'll do a goodie walk. We'll have a bake sale. And all the proceeds that we make off of this event will go to Vanderbilt Children's Developmental Medicine.
Awesome. I love it. And I love it's a goodie walk, not a cake walk anymore, right?
Uh-huh.
I love that. I caught that. Because, always before it was a cake walk. And you had, and people are like, oh, I want some things much more than cake.
Well, it's mainly your kids now that does it a lot. So that's the reason we changed it from a cakewalk to a goodie walk.
I love that. That's adorable. I think that is so cute. It sounds like just a wonderful time. It just sounds like, and what are you expecting as far as vehicles there? That's all. People want to come for the car show. What have you got for the car show?
In the past, we've had 30 to 50 cars.
Ooh, it's so fun. I love those old cars, man. I just love those classics.
Some pretty neat ones.
Yeah. Are y'all classic car people?
No, we don't have one.
Okay. I saw one. I don't know what it was just yesterday, and I was like, man, them are cool. I don't know if I would have had it out this weekend, though, because of all the storms.
That's right.
But they like that pretty weather when they come out so they can shine them up and all those things. But it's always a great time. Now, why are you involved in this program?
3 years ago, actually, my great-grandson, which is 5 now, was diagnosed with autism. And so he was diagnosed by Vanderbilt.
Yeah.
So when they told us that he was autistic, I said, we've got to do something. So our very first fundraiser was at the Tobacco Festival in Russellville, Kentucky. And then we started having the car show and all in Adairville thereafter. So this is our third annual, and we're pretty excited about it.
That's wonderful. And, that's the thing. Until I work with, we see a lot of autism in schools. I mean, just so many kids that are on the spectrum in some way that are they do amazing things. And I mean, I've had some that people, that I'll find out, through we have IEPs and things like that. And there's some, you meet a kid and you think maybe, and then you find out, well, yeah, that there has been a diagnosis, but it really, all it does in some cases is just means you just need to help them in a different way, to teach differently. And it's so beautiful because I've got several friends that are autistic that thrive and just do amazing things.
He's really smart, I
Yeah.
think, and I'm not saying that because he's mine, but the only thing that we really have to watch is he's not a type, if you're correcting him, to raise your voice at. You have to
Yeah.
talk calmly to him,
Yes.
because if you're going to raise that voice, then you're going to lose him totally, because he's going to go out of whack, I guess is what you would
He
say.
shuts it down. He's like, okay, not doing
Sure
that.
does.
Yeah, they have. I've got a friend of mine that comes in here. I need to have them in, as a matter of fact. Is this like a special month? Because I know we have but I want to say Autism Awareness Month is in the fall, is it not?
No,
Or-
it's in April.
It is April. Okay, well, very good. But I have a friend of mine that I did radio with for many, many years, and his sweet son Sean is in his 40s now, I guess, maybe even 50.
Yeah.
I mean, because his dad is getting on up there, aren't you, Pat? So I forget exactly how old Sean is, but just a sweetheart. I mean, just a
Yeah.
special young. He's always going to be a young man to me because I've known him since he was, since I was had first come in. He's probably not a ton younger than me, really, when it
Yeah.
comes down to it, because I'd say probably 15 years, maybe, but. Nonetheless, I was a youngin' when I met him. I was in my early 20s, and so, but he's such a sweetheart. I just love him so much. But he has things that he gets fixated on. He loves fans and things that spin. Those kinds of things.
Yeah.
And so, and I've got others that I'm close to that don't have anything that's quite so obvious.
Yeah.
So it's just. I love the awareness that people have of those with autism, because there's the uniqueness and the beauty of who they are, it's just breathtaking.
That's right.
It
That's
really
right.
is. It really is. So, so what do you think, Jack? If this is are you been involved in it from the get go, or you just say, okay, I'll be there to help you out?
Oh no, I've been involved.
Okay. What's your job?
I do the footwork.
Okay.
I go to the
Gotcha.
stores and take a flyer with me
Yeah.
and explain what we're doing, and ask if there's some way they can't give a small donation,
Sure.
to help us out.
Well, maybe. Did you say you have a silent auction? Do you do a
Well,
silent auction?
this year we're going to do a raffle, so we'll
Okay.
have items that you will buy raffle tickets for.
Okay.
But we have items that we're doing a live auction on too.
Okay, so it won't be a silent auction; it'll be a live auction. See, I love auctions; I just
Mhm.
love them. But that'll be fun. Any items specifically that you want to mention?
We've got a set of lawn chairs that Southern Outdoor Furniture in
nice.
Auburn, Kentucky gave us. They're really nice. They're called a sling back chair. So
Okay.
the back of the chair comes up higher. We've got that. We've got two of the children's ride-on toys that normally in a store sells for about $400,
Oh
$500.
yeah, okay.
We've had a store to donate us a Hot Wheel one and a little Princess one.
Oh,
So we've
nice.
got those. And then our items just go from there on down to
Yeah,
And,
and there's still time to donate an item
oh yeah,
for
yeah.
sure, for
Mhm.
sure, for sure. I mean, you've got plenty of time because it's the 12th, so is that this Saturday?
That's this Saturday.
Goodness.
That's
Time is
this
flying.
Saturday.
Well, we have this lost weekend that we just had,
That's
and so
right.
it's just kind of sneaking up on us, And so we were supposed. I'm the assistant track coach. So we were supposed to have a track meet on Saturday, and that would have kept me on track. But of course, it got rained out.
Yeah.
Side note on that: if you're somebody that wanted to, we had because we lost our funds for the track meet Saturday. I had put out that we needed to sell our fundraiser blankets that we had for track. We've sold out. I'm just saying, we sold out. You guys brought it, and so we sold every one of them. So that gives us the funds to finish out our track season. Thank you so much. And so people are still wanting to buy blankets from me. And I'm like, I'm sold out. I'm sold out. But thank you so very much. But that was what we needed, just because you have. If people just don't realize the cost of doing stuff, and when you've got a child that has autism, there are so many amazing programs out there, but not all of them are ones that you can get through programs that are associated with churches or state or anything like that. Some of them are just programs that you think I'd love to be able to have my child have access to that, but there's a cost involved because I know. And then there's an autism place up in I want to say up in the Opryland area. Seems like I've seen something up that way. Do you know what I'm
Not
talking
for
about?
Sure. I'm not.
Maybe
for
somebody can put it up in comments, but it seems like I've seen something because I travel that little.
Sure.
I've got grandkids in Mountain Juliet, so I travel the Briley Parkway. I
Mm-hmm.
drive through there all the time. It seems like I've seen something up in that area, but it sounds like it's more of an independent thing, and I would
Yeah.
imagine there's a cost involved. Now they may have insurance availability
Yeah.
because there are amazing programs out there in Vanderbilt. We just love Vanderbilt and all that they do.
Oh yeah.
They're amazing, just
Yes,
amazing.
they are.
You know.
Yes, they
Go
are.
ahead, Jack.
I run into, well, there's a couple people I went to get donations from,
Mm-hmm.
and they said they had already donated to autism.
Oh,
And it's like, that surprised me because we've done it, like, say, this is our third year, and I've never seen anything else about anybody having another,
honestly,
autism.
I don't think I have either. Now we have conversations a lot where I've had because like I said, I had my friend Pat and I'll have Sean in, and I need to reach out to them this month and have them in. But they've been on these airways probably 3 or 4 times.
Yes.
And so we'll talk about those aspects of it. And I've had other people that are part of, maybe programs that are like the Vanderbilt or something that's local where we'll have some conversations. But I'm like you. I don't know that I've heard of a actual fundraiser for autism. I'm with you. But I think maybe they've donated through the programs or something like that. Maybe, people, so many of us have an association with Vanderbilt and we find out about a lot of the programs that Vanderbilt have because we've, my husband's heart doctor is there. And so, we've been there and we've had a lot of procedures at Vanderbilt. They put my elbow back together when I fell down the stairs. I love Vanderbilt, but anyway, so that may be it, but I'm like you. I don't know that I've seen an organized event specifically for autism. So, see, it was needed.
Yeah.
You knew.
That's
You
right.
get that
That's
grandbaby.
right.
Get that great grandbaby in her. How's he doing?
He's doing really good. He's in preschool. He'll start
wonderful.
kindergarten next year.
Oh, wonderful.
And of course, I told him the other night, I said, Augie, count for me. He said, I can't do that. I said, yes, you can. I
Yes.
said 1, and he took off, and he counted up to 50.
Yeah.
And of course, he knows his ABCs, and he can pretty well write his ABCs. And
He's
also,
going to do just fine.
uh-huh.
Well, see, and that's one thing too. When I've had children that have been in my class that are on the spectrum, and they have some autism going on, but they're brilliant.
Mm-hmm.
And somebody somewhere has told them that they're not.
Yes.
And one of my things I will tell them, I say, "You're smart," and they look at me like, "What?" And because they'll, for one thing, too, my class is a unique class with audio video, and there's something that I can, sometimes maybe they can't really connect to the things I'm doing specifically in class, but I can put them on one of the other programs that we have, and maybe they excel in music, and I can put something that's audio up, and they just, and you're like, wow, and to be able to just tell, like you said, tell your grand, you're so smart.
Yeah.
And because, just because maybe they're not in the traditional way in the things that we understand, maybe nobody's ever really told them that. Because not all these kids have amazing grandparents like you,
So,
and I'm sure amazing families like your
Yes.
family is because you
well,
are
it's
so aware.
totally family that does it.
Yeah.
We do have some friends that comes in and helps
Right.
us with stuff and all, but each year we do a shirt, and like the one that I have on today, it says it's okay to be different, and it's a heart with puzzle pieces.
Right.
And I said it doesn't matter how we fit into society, we've all got to connect.
Yeah.
And it doesn't matter if you have autism or you don't have autism or Down syndrome, whatever your spectrum is, you have to fit together. And then our second year was a puzzle piece that said "Be kind,"
Yes.
because you never know. And
Yeah.
and then this year our T-shirt says "This family doesn't fight alone."
Mm-hmm.
And also,
I love that. That's wonderful. I
Mhm.
love it. What a wonderful thing you're doing. So let me do a break here. I've got some new sponsors coming on in, and so we got to. I have not had as many sponsors, so we have a little more time to talk. But I've got some sponsors coming on, and we need them. And if you want to be a sponsor of the program, we have sponsorships available where you can do just one live spot a week if that's something you want to do. And you can call me at 615-594-7736, 615-594-7736, and we can hook you up. But I'm so excited to be adding the Bernards into our list of sponsors. But we just love Bernard Farms Custom Cuts and Market. They've got so many wonderful things going on, and our routine, what we're doing with Julie, is I told her, I said, her and Steve are my farm heroes because I love, growing up on a farm and seeing, my brother and his bride, Ben and Laurie, they still farm, and I'm so proud of them. It's tough. It's tough to find it. You have to diversify. You have to find unique things. And my goodness, there's nothing more unique than what Julie and Steve have built out there at Bernard Farms Custom Cuts and Market. It is just such a beautiful thing, and they've got a beautiful store there. So many wonderful, loyal customers that know the quality they're going to get is just bar none. Public House, their bangers that they get are from I'm actually planning on going there, I think, next week, but I just want to experience that. And I just love the local way that they bring you just great homegrown products. I asked her, I said, so what are y'all doing this week? This week they're cutting beef on Tuesday and Wednesday. So, when they have their specific things that they come in, they sell out quick. So they're cutting beef on Tuesday and Wednesday. They've got Channy's strawberry milk back for spring. And then they've also lots of restocks and local items like Sweetwater, Valley cheese, Bentley farm eggs, so many more. And they've also got their smoked barbecue back in stock. So smoked barbecue, the strawberry milk from Chaney's, and Sweetwater Valley cheese, Bentley farm eggs, things that you've been wanting that they've got restocked. Beef being cut on Tuesday and Wednesday, and we cannot forget about their Easter event coming up on the 19th. They're going to have an egg hunt. They're going to have Easter vendors that are going to be there. They're going to have the bounce house that everybody wants to be a part of. The egg hunt's being sponsored by Pleasant Hill Baptist Church. It's happening from 9 to 11. 9 to 11. Each kid's going to get a cupcake with the Easter bunny and the opportunity to take some pictures. If you've not been out to Bernard Farms and Custom Cut, that's a really good, just to go out there and explore and see what's going on. But you're going to love it. Love everything that they're doing. Get out and see them. Have a lot of fun. Just talk to you. It's one of those places that you go in and you just visit and you just see all the good things going on. But their hours are 7 to 4, 7 to 4, 7 days a week, or actually 7 to 4 on Monday through Saturday, and then Sunday they're open from 1 to 4. So again, 7 to 4, Monday through Saturday, 1 to 4 on Sunday, and you can come in and have something wonderful to eat. My husband and I was saying yesterday, I said, okay, we got to get over to Bernard Farms, and he goes, oh, I want to go over there and just have a burger. And I said, okay, we're going to do it. But get out there and see them, and when you talk to them, please let them know that you turned Cincha, and thank them for being one of our wonderful new sponsors here on One Street. Okay, so we from here.
About 15 minutes.
Yeah, see, it's just right there, y'all. We'll be talking about Barry and Rebecca Richards here in a minute with Exit Prime Realty, and we talk about people that live in Kentucky that work in Tennessee. I'm originally from Kentucky. My mother always said, well, you'll always be a Kentuckian, LaVern, because I grew up there, but I was there 17 years, and I've been to Tennessee the rest of it, and I'm 62. But my mama still, you're a Kentuckian, LaVern, and I get so tickled, but I'm like, I don't know about that. But I do. I'm proud of my Kentucky heritage for sure.
Yes.
It's a wonderful state. Are you originally from Dareville?
I am.
Born and raised there and stayed
raised.
there. How about you, Jack?
No, ma'am. I'm originally from Iowa.
Oh my goodness! I see you bringing them Yankees down. So it's like my husband's practically from Canada. So I mean, he's from the Upper Peninsula of Michigan. You tell people that. So many people don't really think about the fact Michigan has two parts, and he's from the upper, like north of Wisconsin part of Michigan. And so, down here we just don't think about it. I'm like, oh, okay, but Iowa, okay. Did you fall in love? That's what brought you down?
No, I was down here in the service at
God bless you.
Fort Knox.
Yeah. Thank you for
and
serving.
I like the people. I like the
Hmm.
weather.
Yeah.
It's not as cold. It's not
Yeah.
as much snow.
Yeah.
So
And you met this
just-
lovely lady.
yeah, I came
Aw.
down here about 21 years ago.
Oh, that's precious. I love that.
We've only been married a little over 10.
Oh, God bless. That's wonderful. I love that. That's a wonderful story. I love that. But
So
thank you for serving. When did you serve? What part of this?
Vietnam.
That's what I figured. I wasn't sure. You know, age-wise, I had a feeling. Are you aware of the Orange Heart Medal program and the wall and all of that we have
Yeah.
going on up here at Springfield? Well, God bless you. Appreciate your service. And I love my Vietnam veterans. If you know anything about me, you know that. We lost our farm hand that I had known my entire life when I was just a little girl in Vietnam. And so it was probably my first childhood memory was Kenneth, losing him in Vietnam. The one that stands out. You know, you have those.
Yeah.
'Cause, but nonetheless, thank you for serving, brother. Thank you,
Thank you.
thank you, thank you. Well, as we continue on, so it's in Adairville, which is just up there, y'all. It's just up there, just 15 minutes away. And give them the specifics of the hours and what to expect when they get there.
it's April the 12th from 9 a.m. to 3 p.m. We'll have a car show, and as far as the car show, it doesn't just have to be a car. If you have a truck or if you have a motorcycle, they're all welcome to come. We'll have craft vendors, we'll have food vendors. We're also going to have a cornhole tournament. So if you like to play cornhole, be sure to be there. It's a $20 entry fee. And then there will be cash prizes for the first and second place winner. And of course, that amount of money will depend on how many people is there to play cornhole.
Well, I remember that from last year. And people take their cornhole very seriously.
Yes, they do.
Oh my goodness. It
Yes,
is
they
something
do.
else. I get so tickled.
And that's $20 a team, not
Yeah.
a person.
Yes.
Okay, so $20 a team.
Mm-hmm.
But I mean, man, there's some serious. I
Yes,
have.
they get serious.
Yeah, I'm not a real. I don't really play games that much. You know, I will with my grandkids. You know, and if but I'm not very competitive in that regard. And so, but I get so tickled because my husband built a cornhole set for me at Greenbrier, and I had that in my classroom for a little bit. I had to get it out of there. They're like, "Can we play cornhole?" I'm like, "No, that's for special times." They're always wanting to play cornhole, and I'm
That's
like,
right.
"Get that thing out of my classroom." That's one thing you learn. The things that I did as a new teacher, I'm like, "I'm going to do this, this, and this," and other teachers would go, "You don't want that in your room. It's a distraction, you know."
Uh-huh.
And I was like, "Oh, it'd be fun. We'll have cornhole whenever we have an off day." It's like, you don't want that in your room. Same thing with a couch. I put a couch in my room, and it was like, oh, that thing is going away. But anyway, I digress. And so, so we've got all that. We've got the goodie walk, which is a cake walk with goodies,
Uh-huh.
and that'll be going on throughout the day. And we've got this auction,
Mm-hmm.
and you've got the raffle. We can do that up in Kentucky.
Yep.
You know, I don't know what the raffle rules are around here. I know that's, you know, because the gambling, all that kind of stuff. But in Kentucky, it's like, woo, we can do it.
That's right.
So, you know, but
Not only beside the raffle of items that we have,
Yeah.
but we do what we call a 50-50 raffle.
ooh,
And that's where we go around and you buy a ticket, and then we'll draw, and whoever the winner is, you get half of whatever is in that bucket.
yeah.
And also,
Well, you know, they do that. My husband loves horse pools, and we've gone to some horse pools up in Kentucky,
Mhm.
and they do something like that up
Yeah.
there. And I get so tickled, and boy, they're like serious stuff, man. I'm telling you, we were up in Kentucky at one, and it went on all day.
yes.
You know, and I got so tickled, you know, them out there selling them tickets,
Uh-huh.
those tickets. But that's hysterical. That is so much fun. So,
So-
well, our time's about over. So, this is this Saturday, guys. I cannot believe it's already the 12th. Losing this past weekend's got me all discombobulated, you know. But this is going to be a great event. If you love, like she said, like Jessica said, that it doesn't have to be a car. It could be a motorcycle. It could be a truck. Anything that's fancy
That's
that
right.
you want to show off. Come on.
That's right.
And just come on out and just enjoy it. We're just going to pray over it now. It's going to be beautiful.
yes.
We're ready for a beautiful sunny Saturday,
That's right.
aren't we?
Yes.
Yes.
So anyway, but come out and like Jack was saying, I don't know that I've ever heard of a specific fundraiser for autism, and we all have special people in our life They're on the spectrum, as we like to say. Have you seen? I have not seen this, but my daughter-in-law's sister yesterday was talking about Love on the Spectrum. Have you seen this show? It's about people that are, have small autism, matchmaking, and all this kind of stuff. And I'm like, okay, I've got to see that because they're so sweet and so special. And I just think that's the cute. I know someone who is autistic and has a special friend, and they're just the cutest things ever. And it's just so precious,
That's right.
Everybody wants love, and I just get so tickled. But what a wonderful thing you're doing. I just think it's wonderful. Give the specifics one more time. We got just a couple of minutes. I saw Bob Ayer out here. If you want to hear from the master gardener, I always have questions for him. So he's going to come on in here right after Jack and Jessica. And that's almost like a saying, Jack and Jessica. It's kind of like a little song or something. You are so cute. But so give them the specifics one more time up in Adairville, just up the road, y'all, 15 minutes, and the times and the specifics.
It's April the 12th from 9 a.m. to 3 p.m. Car show, face painting, goodie walk, bake sale, cornhole tournament. Make sure you come out and join us that day, and all proceeds goes to Vanderbilt Children's Developmental Medicine.
I love it. Wonderful. Good job, y'all. Thank you so much. Thank y'all for coming out and visiting and getting out early with us on a Monday morning after the storms. Everybody be safe. God bless. Y'all be safe driving home. I'll let y'all make your way out, and I'm going to be talking about one of my sponsors as y'all make your way out. And I'm going to talk, let Bob come on in here. But want to talk about our friends Barry and Rebecca Richards with Exit Prime Realty. As we were talking about that, just love everything that they do. We were talking specific. I was trying to think, why did they come up in the conversation a while ago? It's because we were talking about Kentucky. Barry and Rebecca, we specifically say they specialize in Robertson County properties because they are here in Robertson County. Like me, they've been a transplant here and have been here about as long as me, around 30 years. And they're up in Cross Plains. They're Cross Plainians, we like to say. And I met them for the first time in the Kilgore Station Bluegrass Festival. They are founding sponsors and just on the board there. So that's, Bob, you can come on in. But that is where I met them, and they're going to be at the festival coming up on the 16th and 17th of May. Can't wait for that. But and it's a great opportunity to really sit down across the table from them and just ask all your crazy real estate questions. But as I always say, you do not have to wait until you see them out and about at an event with their tent and all the things that they bring. They will sit down with you anytime at the table and discuss all the things you need to know about what's going on in real estate. Whether you want to just know how do I find out how much I can qualify to buy, because that's critical. I've had some conversations with some folks that ended up buying more house than they should have, and they ended up having to sell. And they didn't have to, but they saw it would be a good decision to sell because they ended up with more house than they could really handle. And that is critical, that how much house can you handle? How much property can you handle? So what are you qualified to buy? That's one of the first things you need to answer. And what area do you want to live in? Cost of living. We were talking about living up in Adairville with the Schobys just now. And if you live up in Kentucky, come on in. I think he forgot something. But if you live up in Kentucky, the things that you need to think about when it comes to living in Kentucky and working in Tennessee, because they have an income tax that's going down, though. So that's something to think about. You need to know all that. So they can fill you in on that, because Barry and Rebecca, like me, are originally from Kentucky. So they understand the nuances of that. They're Cross Plainians. They are right here in Robertson County. So they specialize here in Robertson County, but they also buy and sell in the surrounding counties. And like I said, across the state line in Kentucky. They've got a really diverse background. He came out of a marketing background for 17 years. He was a media marketing vice president up in Nashville. So he's worked all over. Rebecca is one of the first in the area to be a seniors real estate specialist. They're just so uniquely qualified and beautifully qualified to help you no matter what you're needing to know in real estate. And again, would love to sit down and talk with you. You can come and give them a call at 615-504-7425, 615-504-7425. Look them up. Just Google them. They're going to you'll see all the listings they have. They have They've done historic properties. You're going to love working with them, or you can just go to the brokerage office that Barry has here in downtown, or her agency office over in White House, and talk to them about anything and everything real estate related. Go to sellwithbecky.com, sellwithbecky.com, or buyrobertscounty.com. And as always, please let our sponsors know you've turned city. One of my favorites. In my heart, I'm a gardener. I don't do enough of it. I always want to. I try to be inspired when I have you in, Bob. And Bob Ayers is here. He's our master gardener, and I'm assuming y'all have some classes and things coming up. I have some specific questions for you, but when Lee Marie suggested you come in, I'm like, absolutely. I got to talk to you, every year at this time, just to kind of see if I can get my fervor up to get my garden back. Because I'm one of those, I had my garden that did great, and then the deer and the rabbits and everything, and it's like I was just giving them a place to eat. And I got tired of doing all the work and not getting to reap the benefits. And do you hear that a lot?
I hear that a lot, more and more. And
Yeah.
in fact, I've experienced that myself.
Yeah.
To the point that I'm trying some raised beds this year for the first time. And also I'm using stockade panels to keep the deer out.
Yeah. Stockade panels. So you're getting serious.
Well, it
Yeah.
just takes that, that height.
Yeah.
But so far that's been enough.
Okay. Because I'm thinking about doing, because I had where my garden spot is now. If you come down if you come down where I live and you notice there's like a little new forested area, then there's a clearing right in the center. That was my garden. That's how big of a garden I had. And it did beautiful for several years. And then I just got to where I could not keep them out. And so that's kind of a little clearing. We just, it's usually where we have our brush pile. when we have a brush pile there and then we set it, and everybody thinks the wood's on fire, and I'm like, no, it's okay, But nonetheless, I miss my garden. I really do. I miss working out in the garden, and so I'm thinking of going. I think eventually because I'm going to get back into it, because I love fresh vegetables out of the garden, and I'm wanting to do some raised beds, but I'm even wanting to do something kind of greenhouse related. Build my own little greenhouse. Do y'all have any kind of plans to do those yourself? Because I don't want anything fancy. I just want something that I can have to keep the varmints out, and then maybe even have things, even because when if we have an early frost or if we have a late frost, because as much as everybody's like, okay, let's get you can put your tomatoes in the ground. No, you can't, not yet, not until after. Some people say up until the weekend of Mother's Day is safe. What do you say? Is that where you go?
That's my go-to date.
Yeah.
These days,
Yeah.
A lot of people talk about frost dates.
Yeah.
April 15th is mentioned a lot.
A lot.
But I looked at our gardening calendar yesterday, and I used the information that's the average for Clarksville, because Clarksville's in the Highland Rim as we are on the Highland Rim, and the actual date for the last killing frost of the spring is April 27th.
Oh.
That's for Clarksville.
Okay.
So using that date, I feel better about that. That still, though, I feel like that the soil's not quite warm enough for the warm season crops. Now, for my raised beds, I've planted already some romaine lettuce and cabbage and broccoli and onions. So all of those are cool season and doing well, even with the rain that we've had this past week. And the raised beds, that's worked out great, because
the drainage is better.
Drainage is better. Otherwise, they would be in the mud.
Oh yeah,
for sure.
Yeah.
So that's working out well. But I think about my next crops to plant will be those crops where I'm going to put my green bean seed in the ground, lima beans, and those, and then set out tomatoes and peppers, and the soil needs to be warm. So that's why I'm waiting until I fight the feeling. Like
I know.
else.
Everybody's like, I want some tomatoes.
But Mother's Day weekend, then that's my target date.
And Lee Marie is saying, tell Bob to get closer on the microphone. So pull that microphone to you if you don't mind. Yeah. So thank you, Lee Marie. But she had, that has always been my thing, because I was always one, when I was growing up, you planted your tomatoes on tax day, after tax day.
Right.
But there's been so many times I'd have to go out and cover, and those, and that's annoying if you have to do that. But I think the safe date is Mother's Day as well. But now, when I had my garden, I would always plant a lot of English peas, because my husband loves those, and you should have those in the ground already, really, in February, right?
They ought to be up and growing
Yeah,
now.
that's right. They should be
Along
out of the
with-
ground, because
along
they
with
do
all
not
the
like the
other-
heat.
Cool season crop,
Yeah.
harvest before it gets hot.
Yes, because they get bitter.
They do.
Right. Yeah. And so, and I would love to grow lettuces. I've gotten at farmers markets and stuff some of those, the real leafy, beautiful kind of butter leaf lettuce. I don't know what they call it. I mean, is it butter leaf or something like that?
Well, there's a butter crunch and
Yeah, there's several beautiful
several
varieties.
butters.
Yeah. Well, and I see a lot of people growing those hydroponically. Have you done any hydroponics?
I have not.
Okay. That's a curiosity for me as well, but you got to have the space. That's one of those things. I feel like you got to have a basement you're not using, to put in a hydroponics, because they take up some room. I had our youth minister for a while, and he still, I'm sure, has it somewhere, but for his youth office was like a jungle. You go in there and he had all these hydroponic stuff, because he's really into all that. And I was like, this is cool, but that's a lot of fun. But what I want to do is I want to put in, we've got, where we had a roofing company, and we have this like parking area where we used to keep the trucks. It's just full of junk right now. Clean that out, put in some raised beds, put a greenhouse around them. And a lot of that more about keeping just the varmints out. Mm-hmm. And because I could take and do a greenhouse, keep the sides up and take the top off, right? Could that work? Have you do you have a greenhouse?
I do not.
Okay.
But the ventilation in the greenhouse is really important. So you
Okay.
can do that by having the top raise up in some fashion that increases the ventilation and lets that humidity. You have to control that humid environment, and also cooling as well. So because a greenhouse
We'll get
on a
hot.
sunny day really quickly heats up, and
Yeah.
and so the fans have to work. You have to have that movement of air so you can get that exchange and not have those temperatures that would be too hot for those plants, that whatever you might have growing on the inside.
Right.
So it's important to, think about what you're able to do, how, water source needs to be there,
Oh, yeah.
electricity, if you're going to be utilizing fans and then heaters. That would, a true greenhouse will have some heating along with your other part of the systems,
Okay.
fertilization and all of that. A lot of individuals are using high tunnels, and which is pretty much a greenhouse that doesn't have the heat.
Okay.
I mean, you're going to still need the ventilation,
Mm-hmm.
but it's more of a large covered bed that just provides that protection from what's outside, and does for a pretty good amount hold on to the heat of the day.
Okay.
So you can, a lot of people will have their cool season crops growing in those high tunnel houses. So you're talking about a larger area.
Okay.
too.
A high tunnel house. And there's just so much. I mean, this is my husband's like, LaVern, we don't need another project. But it's something I just really miss having my fresh vegetables. And I may like you, I may start with some raised beds that have got some fencing around it that to get started. But I've got space. I've got a place I can do it. We just got to clean this stuff out and then bring it in. So when it comes to a raised bed, how did you do yours? What did you use to put together? Did you use cross ties, or what did you use to build your bed?
Well, I actually bought the materials that I have in my raised beds for used, excuse me, then at an auction.
Oh, cool.
So I disassembled it, brought it home, and it was a kind of a keyhole raised bed. And the previous owner had it about 30 inches, 36 inches tall,
Uh-huh.
so that she didn't have to bend over so much.
Right.
But that 3 different 12-inch boards, And so I took the 12-inch boards and made three beds,
Okay.
3 different raised beds. So they're 12 inches deep and between 3.5 and 4 feet wide and 6 to 8 feet long, just because that's the length of the boards that I
Okay.
had. And got a raised bed mix and filled them up and planted those cool season crops that are really doing pretty well right now.
And you said a raised bed mix. So
Mhm.
what is that?
Well, it's a soilless mix, and we've got a great publication on building and using raised beds and the different
Okay.
kinds of mixes that you might include. And that would be, some of us like to have soil and because we like growing in the dirt for real. And that's where a lot of the nutrition that plants will get comes from what's residual in the soil particles. A lot of raised bed mixes will have a high organic matter. They're going to have some sand. If it's there may be some of those special ones that are going to have some worm castings, some fertilizer value, but for the most part, we're going to be feeding those because of one of the reasons that we're using those products is for the increased drainage, and that's so important. But with the sand and with the organic matter, they don't hang on to those pieces. Don't hang on to the fertilizer value, the nutrients that the plants need. So we have to be more careful about feeding those than through the season.
Okay. Okay.
Yeah.
Absolutely. And Lee Marie is sending me notes. She's like, don't forget to ask about the plant sale that's coming up because she's afraid we're going to run out of time. So we need to be sure and talk about that. But so you were talking about the raised beds. You said you have some publications. Where can we find those?
uthort.com.
Of course. Absolutely. We got to get that in there.
Right.
uthort, HORT.com.
HORT.
And there'll be just a list of all the different things.
That's a great site, and it
Okay.
has different tiles. So vegetable gardening is one of those,
Okay.
and you select that in all of the publications related to vegetable gardening, including building and using raised beds,
Okay.
is available right there.
Do you have anything on irrigation, like drip irrigation?
There is a home irrigation publication. Drip irrigation, for the first time last year, I used a drip irrigation. I installed it and used it in my vegetable garden.
Okay.
And it's really, if you're going to have a lot of square feet to take care of and you don't have the time or want to be hauling water
Yeah.
back and forth, then that's the way to go as well.
Well, and there is are you familiar with Healing Hands International? The charity. It's actually up in Nashville, and they have a program that, because in the areas where they serve, it's a drip irrigation system, and they bringing fresh produce to areas that just can't grow anything. When we're down in Mexico, there's a lot of the Healing Hand drip systems that they have a bucket. And the reason, because they have a real specific system. I'll have to show you that because it's really interesting. And I would love to try to integrate that system into a raised bed system. But it basically is just you have a 5-gallon bucket hanging up and you fill it with water every day and it drips out. You just take it and put the pipe into your vegetables, to your different plants. Is yours something similar to that?
I utilize my water system. So with the pressure off of my water system to
Okay.
do that. But a lot of people will use, as you say, the buckets. I've seen, I've had people who've used these large plastic containers and they mounted them up on a structure, and gravity's working for you.
Yep.
So it's the weight of the water and the gravity that makes it a real simple drip irrigation, but works. It works.
Yeah. Yeah, it works beautifully. And I've seen, there's one particular place where we go that we stop and we visit in Papilote, and the preacher there built a greenhouse and has that, and it's just really cool going in there, and you got stalks of corn, and it's just cool how it sets up. And so that's probably what got me interested in doing raised beds, is watching how they set their systems up. And I'll just tell you, if you want to learn something about that, you can go up to Healing Hands, and they have one in the back of there. You need to go up there. I need to connect y'all because I think you would find that fascinating. It's really interesting because they do this, all over the world. And so there's all kinds of wonderful things. But now you are right here at the UT office over. Tell everybody exactly. I'm going to get it wrong if I tell them where to come to see you.
Well, I'm at the UT Extension office,
Okay.
Robertson County.
So you're right here in town.
Yeah, Fifth Avenue and
I always want to put you at the
at the station.
yeah, and you're not. I was thinking your office was out there.
No.
Okay. And so you're not at the Highland Rim Research and Education Center, but you're out there a lot doing stuff.
I am. In fact, Master Gardener training is going on right now, and it's just great to be able to be out there. We have a demonstration garden it's an ongoing project. Started about four years ago, I believe. That's before I arrived, but we're continuing to expand the different aspects of that garden, and this is going to be great. As we're thinking about where we are in this season, this is a great weekend to be able to come out there because the Master Gardeners are going to be hosting an event this Saturday, the 12th, from 9 to 12, and there are going to be 3 different seminars. One is going to be related to native plants. A lot of people are interested in native plants in their landscape, and the second one's going to be flowers, cool and warm, and I'm thinking that speaker is going to be covering flowers that like the cooler weather temperatures, and then flowers that are going to be for what we'd say our summer bloomers,
like our marigolds and our
marigolds and zinnias, and sunflowers, et cetera, et cetera.
The hardy heat ones.
And then the last hour, I'm going to be there, and it's going to be we're going to begin as a Q&A, question and answer session, but I might have some things that I'll have ready to share in case there's time available for me to do that. Yeah.
Well, it's so funny because we've talked a lot about the ivy that I had, because I had this beautiful, beautiful hanging ivy on the front of my house, and of course it destroyed the wood, but that polar vortex took it. And I'm not going to put it back up on my house, but I've got this arbor that I'm trying to cover with vines and different things. We've talked a lot about that. Thing I found that's done the best is wisteria. I mean, I love me some wisteria, and I had 2, and I'm getting ready to put in several more along this arbor because I think that's the best. But now as my ivy's coming back up on that arbor, my hope is to have the wisteria and then have the ivy cover it. But you had told me, I've always kind of keep my eye to the weather, and you had said that if I would spray that before that bad temperature comes in and let it freeze on it, that might protect it. Have you had any luck with protecting things that way, of anything? Because I still see plants that I'm like, that got caught in the polar vortex, and they need to just cut it down and start again because it's dead, But that's something. Have you tried that? Because, I mean, we had some pretty cold temperatures this past winter. I didn't have anything that I was particularly concerned about. But have you had anything that you've seen that's helped? Have you ever tried that? Because we had talked a little bit about it last year.
Well, the commercial growers, some strawberry growers that I've worked with over the years, and especially, so here we are in this time, early to mid-April, and during a normal strawberry season, then they would be blooming.
Right.
Because we'd be picking in 30 days.
Right.
But, I look at the temperatures that are predicted for tonight and tomorrow night. And anytime we get down to where it's predicted we're going to be 34 degrees and Nashville is talking, we're going to be colder than that.
Oh, yeah.
And we can expect some ice to come along with that frost. And then if the temperature drops down below freezing, then it becomes more critical. So we can, in the past, growers would use overhead irrigation to provide that frost protection. Okay. But in today's world, they pretty much use row covers if they're going to use some protection. So it's more like the tobacco bed covers that we remember. Yeah. But it provides 3 to 4 degrees, depends on the weight of the cloth, but 3 to 4 degrees or so. Plus it keeps the ice off of the plant leaves, which is so important.
Right. And that's one thing. I have some of that, that covering that they use in the tobacco field. And I've often thought that if I felt like because I really want to, my wisteria, I'm stunned at how hardy it is. It has just thrived and survived. Now what will happen with wisteria is it will start to bloom and then we'll have a late freeze, it'll knock it out. And so I want to cover that and try to, because those blooms they're not long lived, but man, they're spectacular. They're just beautiful. About how long does that usually? Because I'm thinking it's a couple of weeks maybe we get blooms on wisteria, and they're just absolutely beautiful. But so the things that we can do to protect, because right now is the time that you have to be thinking about protecting things that are popping up. I've had times I've tried to save my daffodils that would come up, and most our daffodils done by now.
Pretty much.
Pretty much they're done. Yeah, they're early in March, and I know those things start coming up awful early, and I'm like, just wait, it's too early. We'll get a little warmth in February, and they want to start popping up, and I want to say, just stay in the ground for a little bit longer. We're not quite ready for you. I'm afraid they'll get, bit by frost, and we won't get to enjoy them. A couple of things that Lee Marie wants me to cover. She's going to get me if I don't. She's wanting to ask, we've got a number one cover, the plant sale here in just a minute, but she wants me to ask you, what have you got planned for the American Legion post? Said that she's heard that the master gardeners are going to do something beautiful at the American Legion. Do you know anything about that?
I do not.
Oh, so it's a big old secret. So because when we say you're the trainer for master gardeners,
Yes.
but there's how many in this area?
We're up to about 50 or so certified master gardeners now. And there are projects, they have ongoing projects that are all around the county.
Yeah.
And a major focus right now, though, is their demonstration garden that they have at the Research and Education Center on Experiment Station Lane.
Okay.
Just outside of town here, just at the city limits.
Properly named.
And looking forward to this weekend, but we're also looking forward to Mother's Day weekend. We talked about that as far as planting, because that's when they have their annual plant sale. And they're growing some of their plants, have some of these master gardeners who are dividing and putting those plants in pots so that they'll be ready to plant for the new owners as they are available at this plant sale. And we encourage our master gardeners to label and provide some information about each plant that they offer for sale, so we know if it's full sun, shade, when it blooms, maybe have a photograph of, because it's not going to be in bloom.
Yeah, you're going to be like, what's this going to do?
Right.
Yeah.
But it's always very helpful to have the more information we can provide these purchasers. But this is going to be the first year that the plant sale is going to be completely at the Research and Education Center.
Okay, because you used to have it up here at the office off the square.
It's been uptown, just in front of the office for years and years and years. But with everything that's happening at the greenhouse, as the master gardeners have become more active there at the Research and Education Center, then we're going to and we have a lot more room.
Yeah.
A lot more room for just putting plants out so people can see, and we'll have master gardeners there to be helpful in answering questions that people might have about all of these plants that are going to be available.
Awesome. That'll be great. And this is an opportunity to get things that are heirloom. A lot of the time.
Yes.
That's not saying that if it's something it's perennial, of course, because it's going to be something that's coming from another plant. But sometimes you can get things that are super unique. And you know what I mean? That you just, I have a hydrangea that was my grandmother's. I mean, how special is that? We've been trying our best to transplant a piece of a rose bush that's in my mother-in-law's yard, because our niece owns the home now and is raising her family there. They have this rose bush. It's got this blue rose on it that is just absolutely beautiful up north. And we've tried 2 or 3 times to bring a sprig of that and get that growing. And so far we have not succeeded, but once I do, I would love to share that with others down here, because it's just spectacular. It is absolutely beautiful. And I'm going to figure it out. Tell me if this works. I saw on something on social media where you can take a cutting of a rose bush and put it in a banana and transplant it. Have you ever heard that?
I have never heard that.
How would you do it? How would you transplant a cutting from a rose?
Well, if I take the cutting, number one, then I'm going to root the cutting. So I'm either going to I'll probably put it in a soilless mix,
like a liquid, like a something that you
like
like a
I
root
would use it
starter.
using a raised bed, but with a little more water holding capacity to it.
Okay.
And I'm going to use some rooting hormone too.
Okay.
So I'm put it in, or dip it in rooting hormone. Open up the space in that pot so that I don't rub the rooting hormone off as I'm sticking it in.
Oh. Okay.
So I'm going to open that up, put in my cutting, close it back up, always water in. In the case of taking a root cutting, a stem cutting like that for roses, then I would consider maybe a baggie, and that would be my greenhouse setting.
Okay.
So I could put my pot and my cutting inside the baggie, seal it up.
Oh, that's a great idea.
That keeps that moisture in there. I want to have the light working for me. I'm going to watch it. If it happens to be too wet, then I'm going to open up the bag, let it breathe a little bit, have some air exchange, and just be patient. Be patient. But that's very doable.
Okay.
Yes.
I've tried it a couple of times and have not had any success with it, but so we'll be up there in July.
Mm-hmm.
And so I'm going to try again, and I will take a pot and some soil and all the things and pot it there and put it in my Ziploc and transplant, because that's what ends up happening. I end up taking a cutting, just sticking in some water in a bottle, and then it's like it's a day-long drive back, because it's a good 12-hour drive, and that's if you're not stopping a lot. And and by the time we get home, it gets neglected for a day or two.
Mm-hmm.
That's what happens. I end up losing it. And so that's what I'll do is I will take everything I need to pot it up there. And I'll probably stick a sprig in a banana and just see what happens. Because this is like a YouTube thing I saw where I'm curious. You see those things, you wonder, well, does that work? But I think they stuck it in a banana and just planted it.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know.
Well,
try it and see.
You can try it. So
we'll have to experiment. I'll let you know how it works out.
You're going to be the experimenting gardener.
There you go.
And master gardeners do that all the time.
Yeah, I'll let you know if that works.
Yes.
So if somebody wants to be a master gardener, we've got just a moment here. What do they need to do?
They need to send me an email and just indicate an interest. I'm already having a list underway for 2026 training.
Wow.
This is training that we only have once a year, and we begin in January. And right now we're in the middle of it, or about to end. The end of April, this class will be done. This year I have 20 interns that are currently enrolled in the class and learning about. In fact, this week's lesson is vegetable gardening, so we're going to be talking about planting vegetables tomorrow, and also a major part of the hands-on activity just happens to be about growing vegetables in raised beds in containers.
Yeah.
So our plant sale, 8 a.m. to 2 o'clock p.m. on a Mother's Day weekend. That's Saturday, May the 10th.
And all happening at the educational center, the Highland Rim Educational and Research Center. Did I say that right?
Research and Education Center.
Education Center. I got to get my words right.
Yeah.
Thank you, Bob. Always fun talking to you. Always enjoy it so much. And I just, man, you just, you get me wanting to plant some cucumbers. Cucumbers are my thing. There is nothing. If you like cucumbers, you've never had a cucumber until you've had it right off the plant, out of the garden. It is the best. And tomatoes as well. Those are. What's your favorite?
Well, early on, we're harvesting asparagus right now, and it's just wonderful.
Oh, yes.
Wonderful just to be able to go out and cut it off fresh.
Yes.
Put it on the grill or roast it in the
Oh, my goodness, yes. See, I had the asparagus bed for a while, and that's something you have to start, and it's a couple of years before you really get it.
Mm-hmm.
Do you have that in a raised bed or just in a patch?
Planted in it. When I planted it, I planted in a trench in the ground, and in fact, it's been there, I think, for at least 12 years.
My goodness. I bet, how much do you get off of your trench?
Well, it's just
what?
enough to really enjoy and even do some freezing so to be able to use those spears later in some other dishes.
Where do you have your asparagus bed? I'd love to come see how you've got it growing.
Well, I started it on the edge of my garden. So
okay,
yeah,
okay. See, I had that too at my garden. Of course, it's but you have to maintain it. If you don't maintain it, it will go away.
Yes, and one thing that I just have discovered over these last couple of years because of these hard drought periods
Yeah.
we've had is you have to water it.
Oh, when it's
During
down.
the summer. When during the summer,
Okay.
because we want the ferns to grow and
Right.
feed the crowns, and these extended temperatures, 100-degree days and
Yeah.
weeks
Hard
in a
on it.
row, it was hard.
Do you think I could do? Now I'm out of time, but do you think I could do asparagus in a raised bed?
Yes,
Okay.
lots of people do.
Okay.
Yes.
Because that's asparagus right about. Oh man, that's good stuff. We're out of time. Here we go. Thank you, Bob Air. He is our master gardener here in Robertson County. And tell him how to get in touch with you, just real quick. Do you have a phone number at the office or anything?
The
or
phone
do you
number,
wanna- Yeah.
I'm part-time, but you can call the office, 615-384-7936. And my email, if you have a question, I look at photographs online if people send
Okay.
those, bobary@utk.edu.
Okay. Do the phone number and the email one more time in case people missed it.
615-384-7936, bobary@utk.edu.
That's it, guys. Thank you for joining us, and we will see you tomorrow. Delayed start to school. The bells will be ringing 2 hours late, so get ready for it and get your kids to school, y'all. Come on. This is 1100 WSGI. God bless. Have a fabulous, fabulous day.
If we could see what God can see.